Hey everybody, welcome to day one. We decided that we were going to do this together. So you get to see us side by side and we're going to do the same project, different papers. We might have some variances, but it'll help show even better. So right now you can actually still get this Holly Jolly card making kit with exclusive stamp set and thing cuts on our websites. So with this, you'll make 16 cards for each of 4 designs. These cute little designs. This elf, he's adorable, and his little hat thing here, it cuts too, so the bell part can be in front. It's super cute. Oh, you can see it here. Anyway, this guide is available to download even without purchasing the card kit, and it tells you what pieces to cut of what paper, what sizes, what orientation, and all that good jazz. And then it walks you through each card on how to create it, what you're going to color or not color, how you're going to put everything together, what you're going to stamp, how you're going to add more to it, all that sort of thing. So I'm showing this to you because we're going to use this to make this card here. Except we're going to change it some because, well, that's what we do. So here are the changes that we're making. So I have the cutting guide here. It's a separate one so that I can mark it up a little bit. And this is project 2, which you can see up here in this corner up here. And so we're going to find the items that say project 2. So on our B&T paper, we're going to cut 2C. So it says 4 1/4 by 3 1/2. We're going to trim this actually down to 4 by 3 1/2. So we're going to cut this row 3 times. So we're going to make a total of 9 cards of this same design. Okay, so that one's pretty simple change. The cardstock, you can see some of my math here. Don't pay attention to these numbers because these numbers are wrong. I should have rewritten them before the video and I did not. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut 9 pieces that are 2 by 4 and 9 pieces that are 1/2 by 4. So you'll use less than a full sheet of cardstock of one coordinating color, and you're going to use less than a sheet of cardstock of the black. So you're going to cut a total of 9 of the pieces that are 1 by 5 and total of 9 of the pieces that are 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. All right, so let's do this. I am going to be using one of the papers from These Are My People kit. And I can use either side because they'll both go well with the cardstock that I picked, which is the pink and the black. Danielle, what are you going to be using?
So I'm going to be using Celebrate Today. You can still get the paper packet and the stickers, well, even though it's retired from a couple of catalogs ago. And I'm choosing to use the plaid-like style grid pattern piece. The other side is beautiful. It's a watercolor side. It just wouldn't work well for the pattern that we're using today. So I'm going to go ahead and use this side right here.
Awesome. All right, so
I have coordinating, I'm going to use Mint for coordinating cardstock in black and white daisy.
Perfect. As I almost knocked my drink over. You know, it's a good thing my desk is cluttered right now because that's the only thing that saved my table space. Yeah. All right.
Before you get started, make sure that you're cutting off your zip strip if you have one on your paper. And that's the decorative strip that's right at the top. And you can save that and put it aside. I'm not going to use it in this project, I don't think, today. But you could definitely use it or save it so that you know what colors go in that particular paper pack that you're using if you have a hard time figuring out which colors coordinate well with the patterns that are available in your paper.
Exactly. She just said what I was going to say. So it tells you exactly everything that's in there. So you don't have to guess. All right, so let's cut. So if your page has a direction, you want to, oh goodness, I didn't think about that because I knew my pattern doesn't have a direction. So
Mine doesn't either.
So when you're cutting at the 4, you want your top to be the top and your bottom to be the bottom, not side to, you don't want your top and bottom on the sides. You want it on the top and the bottom. So we're going to cut 3 pieces at 4 inches by 12 inches. And then we're going to cut those at 3.5 inches. I know that I can cut more than one piece at a time with this paper trimmer. I'm always terrified. But here we go.
So I like this measurement because it has very minimal waste for your crafting for this particular card. And whatever is left over, it can easily be incorporated into the design if you should so wish to do so.
Yeah, so you're going to end up with 3 pieces that are 1.5 by 4. So you could cut these down to 1/2 inch or so, and then add them in on your cards. And I can show you that a little bit later as well. All right, so next piece. So we're setting those aside. Next piece we're going to do is our coordinating cardstock. Okay, so for me that's pink. For Danielle, I think that was the mint.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna cut these also at 4 inches.
And before you start cutting, just keep in mind that your paper is two-toned. So decide which side that you want to use with your pattern. I'm going to go with the light side because if I choose to do some stamping, I want it to be very vibrant. Michelle, are you using your dark side or your light side?
I'm using my, let's see. I didn't.
And what was your first cut?
4 inches. I'm going to use the light side as well. All right, so if my math is correct, you should only use 2 of these pieces, which means you will have this 4 by 12 piece that you can either use to make another card or you can keep it for another project. All right, so out of these pieces, we are going to cut 9 pieces that are 2 inches. Super simple, easy to do. That first one will give you 6 pieces. 7, 8, 9. All right, Danielle, you let me know when you're done with that.
Yep, I'm done.
All right. One of the reasons we're doing a bunch of cards at first is because it's awesome to receive happy mail. I think everybody would agree with that. So you're going to have 9 cards that you can easily send out or give out or ding dong ditch and leave at somebody's door just to brighten their day a little bit. All right, so from this piece that's left, it's 6 inches. We are going to cut 1/2 inch pieces. Now I'm going to use the 1/2 inch that's on the right side of my cutting area, and Danielle is too. And it's interesting, we're doing the exact same thing, but it looks different because she's cutting with her, I'm pointing, you can't see me point over there because whatever. Anyway, yeah, look over there. I think I'm pointing the right way. If you look at hers, hers is upside down. So she's cutting like this. And I'm cutting like this. It's always
Michelle's actually cutting the right way. My mind works backwards. I have to have this towards me.
So,
and it's funny because Michelle pointed out that I'm actually using this grid over here. I know that this paper is 6 inches long, so I'm just moving it over a 1/2 inch. So that's how I'm doing mine, is I'm just moving it over to the left a 1/2 inch for every cut.
See, and I'm actually paying attention to the 1/2 inch on the other side, and I'll do it, and then I'll push it, and then I'll pull my paper back.
Yep. And how many of these do we need? 9?
We need 9. So you should have this piece left over. It will be about 1.5 inches wide, so it'll be an extra. Now, I don't know if you've seen or not, but Jennifer McGuire is doing something over on Instagram. If you don't know who Jennifer McGuire is, go check her out. She is a fantastic artist, paper artist, and she's starting a thing called Card Making is My Superpower. She's definitely not wrong on that, because that is her superpower. And she's doing that so that people can make a boatload of cards and give them out to random various people, whether it be people you know. It doesn't have, it can be someone you know, it can be grandma, or grandpa, or brother, sister, whatever, or it can be the mailman, or the grocery store worker, or, you know, doctors and nurses and CNAs and custodians are definitely not getting a whole lot of notice, but I know they're still working. Truck drivers, you know, there's a whole slew of people that are considered essential. And so, you know, everybody can use a pick-me-up once in a while.
Yeah. Definitely jump on that bandwagon.
All right, so I'm moving on to my black piece. Yours does not have to be black. Danielle and I both managed to go with black on this piece. And this is going to be the matting for your image, your sentiment, and also the little flag image underneath. All right, so we are going to cut this is what we're going to do. We're going to cut it 5 inches. Sorry, I was just doing a little bit of math right there.
Michelle's going to cut it 5 inches. I'm using scrap black paper, so follow her if you're using a full sheet.
And this is the perfect project to use scraps with too. So if you don't have full sheets, that's okay. And you don't even have to use the same color for all of your cards. If you have a quarter of a sheet of 3 different colors, go for it. So if you're using the full one, 5 inches, and then I'm going to cut 9 pieces that are 1 inch. Six, 7, 8.
So what I did first is I cut 9 pieces, 2.5 by 2.5. So I cut my bases first, just to ensure that I had enough room for all of them. And now I'm going to go in and with my scrap pieces and cut my 1 by 5. So both of my scrap pieces that I have left are 2, a little over 2, like just 2 1/8 or something close to that, by 12. So I'm going to do the same thing that Michelle did. I'm going to cut at 5, both of these down to 5, and then now I can cut my 1 inch marks, and I will use the one that's on the left hand side this time.
All right.
And I'll need 9 of these.
Perfect. So of my piece is just short of 3 inches. I'm not perfect, whatever. So I'm going to cut this down to 2.5 inches. So I'll have a tiny little sliver that I can keep or toss or whatever, and then cut this down to 2.5. And I have my first 2. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and cut 2.5-inch strips and then cut those into 2.5 as well. And I will have a little bit of a scrap here as well.
I had to dip back in my scrap pile. I needed one more 1x5. But that's the beauty of having scraps. I always say, if anybody ever follows me on my Facebook page or my blog or whatever, I'm constantly using the tag Bash Your Stash because, well, I like to use what I have first before buying more.
Exactly. All right, so this is what I have as extra pieces from my black cardstock. So not a lot. All right, and then for our white pieces, we are going to cut 9 of them that are 2 inches by 2 inches.
So again, I'm using scraps, and I like to use, so I move this down. I know it's 12 inches long, so I move it down to the 10, and then I cut down to the 8 and cut, so on and so forth. And then I know that I'll get 6 out of these, this one strip. So I need 3 more.
Me too. And I'm probably going to cut an extra 1 or 2. In case.
Right. I agree.
All right. And that's all of our cutting. Unless you're going to do some die cutting. You know, if you wanted to do something similar to what the card has with the little elf peeking out, you could totally do something like that. Like I have this fun set. It might be a little bit big, but you know, I could totally have her peeking out behind something. All right, so I am going to go with the first thing that we do is stamping. That way it has time to dry with no smudging, or we can reduce our smudging with having dry time. So I'm going to use this stamp set, and you may notice it's in a bag and not in one of the traditional envelopes. And this is the stamp set from the card making subscription, which you can still get, and you get 24 cards pieces to make 24 cards, plus the stamp set, plus an ink blot, plus embellishments as well. So the only thing you need to add is the glue. So easy enough. All right, so you can make different cards. You can make them all the same. I think I'm just going to use this thinking of you sentiment because how perfect, right?
I like your choice. So I'm going to come in and I'm actually going to use the stamp set. Celebrate Today. It's the scrapbooking set, which is also still available. And I'm going to create some birthday cards. And I'm going to come in with some sentiments from, put it away, because that's what you do. I'm also going to use some sentiments, Say It in Style, maybe happy birthday, I'm thinking. Just because the happy birthday on this is obviously set up for a scrapbooking page, but I want to use some of the stars that are on here and some of the extra sentiments and background pieces that they have.
Perfect. So this stamp set has not been used yet, so that is why you saw me rubbing it on the back of my hand. And that's just to help get the release agent that they use when they're making the stamps off of it, so I can get a clear impression. And I love that this stamp is not designed to not be perfect. It looks like it's just brush writing on here.
I am going to come in, and while you're working on your sentiment, I'm actually going to make some background images on my mint cardstock, and then I'll come back for my sentiment. So there's a grid that's in here, and I'm just going to ink it up pretty well. I'm using the back of my Versamat as a stamping platform, and then I'm just going to kind of offset the grid. And so I'm just going to do that on all of my pieces.
Oh, that's fun. I like that. So just so you guys know, those of you watching, we only slightly planned this in advance. We talked about what papers we were going to use, what stamp set we were going to use, and we knew what sketch we were going to use. And that's it. We did not plan past that. I should have grabbed my stamp chamois. Oh goodness. All right. I wish this one had a little heart in it too. That would have been good.
So one of the colors that's in my paper collection is Lagoon, and that's the ink that I chose to stamp on top of the mint. And if I really wanted to be super creative, I could come in with Bluebird and stamp the grid again so that it mimicked this, but that will be too busy. So I'm not going to do that. But that's just an idea of another way to use this little stamp set.
I came up with an idea. Oh, it doesn't go all the way across. All right. So I'm gonna let these dry, and then I'm gonna do kind of what Danielle's doing. So I'm gonna use this stamp set. Let's see, what is this called actually? You're Not Old. And of course it's You're Not Old, You're Vintage. That's funny. All right, so I'm gonna move my extra white pieces off to the side. I'm gonna grab my pink pieces, and I'm going to try. I'm not sure which one I'll like better, so I'm gonna try both and see which one I like better. Oops, sorry. And I'm gonna take these tiny little dots here on this stamp set, and I'm going to add some interest to those pieces there. Grab a block. So this video might be a little bit longer than most, but it'll probably be very much like the Zoom videos that we have been talking about, that's what we'll do on Saturdays. And so, so it'll give you kind of an idea of what to look forward to. Okay, so I just grabbed my extra pink piece so that I can try both colors on here to see which one I like better. And that way I don't screw up a piece.
Okay, happy birthday it is. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm gonna line them up on my block. One of the really nice things about the blocks that we have is there's an engraved line that's on here. So if you have verbs also, you can just line them up with this line to help you get them straight if that's something that's beneficial to you, if you need to see it. You could also set them down on your grid and line them up there and then apply the block to them. So if you've got them nice and straight in the way that you want them, you could use your grid down here and then pick it up with your block. So it's straight how you want it. Total personal preference, in my opinion. I like to use the line that's on the block.
It is a very good tool, and I end up using it after I screwed up a couple times.
The line on the block?
Getting the center, yeah, I end up using it after I screw up and not have my stuff straight.
Right? I can eyeball it. Nope, I don't eyeball it.
All right. I've decided I'm not stamping on my cardstock because it wasn't random enough. The spots on there were not random enough. But that's okay.
You know, I was thinking that these would be really cute shakers by using the stitch square dies. I'm not going to do it this time just for time purposes, but that would be something that's super cute. But what I am going to do is I'm going to use one of those mint scrap pieces that I have left over, and I'm going to use this little border stamp, and it has a little star cut out in it, like a little banner. I'm going to stamp this 9 times and then fussy cut them out, and that's going to help accent my piece here.
Oh, nice. That'll be awesome. All right, so since I am not stamping on those, should I continue on? What do you think?
Yeah, just keep going, and I think we'll end up probably ending up right around the same time.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to move my stamp piece out of the way. Oh, let's see. I am going to be using cards and envelopes from the Value Pack cards and envelopes. I love these things. And one of the great things about this is if you are going to make a card out of colored cardstock instead of out of our cards, generally speaking, you'll probably need a white insert for that card, right? So you could totally cut this down and then you'd still have an envelope to use. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, that's a great way to not feel like you're wasting it by just using the envelope.
All right, so I will probably end up grabbing one of my stamp sets that has a heart in it and stamping on the flap of my envelope. But I don't have it handy right now, so I'll probably do that later. All right, I'm gonna fold my cards really quick so the bump goes to the inside of your card. Somewhere I have a bone folder.
Sorry. All right. So I think I've got some good details going for. Let me grab some black ink so I can kind of catch up with Michelle here. We can kind of finish at the same time.
6, 7. Of course, I grabbed 8.
So really good at stamps. My stamps are new too. I haven't used it. Look at my happy. Isn't that just spectacular? Upside down.
Oops.
So I can just change that really quick. I'm not gonna lie, I don't normally do a pre-stamp, just test it out kind of deal, but I thought I would this time since we were on camera. And I'm really, really glad that I did that.
Right. All right, so today I'm going to use the Tombow Mono Liquid Glue. Tombow Mono Multi-Liquid Glue. It's in such a strange order on the thing, but I do like it. I also like my liquid glass, but I do like the Tombow as well. You can get a lot of cards made with, oh, just not very much glue, unless your glue does this. Okay, stop. Oh my goodness. All right, my glue is, this is not what you want. Do not do this.
I love it when my glue gets all giddy and happy and just spits out everywhere.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what it did. All right, so that extra cardstock is coming in handy. Use it as a little scraper. All right, then I'm just going to all right, just for a second, I'm gonna do this so I can get the glue off my fingers.
Okay, so while Michelle's getting glue off her fingers, I just draw a line around each of my sentiment blocks with my black journaling pen. I like doing this with this particular one, especially if I'm going to do any extra inking or with it, because it is waterproof. And once it sets, it's there. It doesn't smear. So you can actually draw doodles on your pictures if you wanted to.
All right. So there we go. My glue is just being a pain today. I don't know what the issue is. So use some more of this faux scraper. So just so you guys know, you're not the only ones to have screw up.
We are so real. There's no fake about us. There's no Hollywood here.
That's for sure. All right, let's do this. Ah, much better. So what I was trying to say earlier, and I was a little bit flabbergasted because of my glue, is when I'm using my liquid glue, I will always turn my project over and burnish it just a little bit. It helps flatten out the glue so you have more area of adhesion. And then, you know, when you turn the corners of your back and forth, you have a little bit more glue there. And so it makes sure that you don't have those little bumps showing through. And liquid glue is fantastic. If you have the right liquid glue, it's fantastic. I did say I do love my liquid glass, and I really do love my liquid glass. But I know not everybody else does.
I have to agree that the mono is my new favorite. I will say that, but there's nothing like the liquid glass for particular projects. I think every adhesive is good, and depending on the project that you're using.
I really like to use my liquid glass on scrapbook pages. And I know that sounds strange, but it just gives, are you kidding me? My bottle is empty? No, can't be empty. Sorry. It It gives a stiffness to your pages so they don't bend as easy when you're turning them in your album, but it doesn't add any weight to them. So it's really pretty fantastic.
Yeah, you just have to be very careful that you're not heavy-handed with it. Otherwise, you will get the bubble, especially if you don't varnish it like Michelle showed you.
All right, so on these pieces, and on the ones that I'll do next, I am just making an even spacing around the 3 edges of my card. It's not perfect, but you know, they're pretty close. But I just want them to be very similar in size.
So I'm taking my little pieces that, my little stamps that I fussy cut, and I'm adding some fun, some foam squares from the shaker kit to the back of them. What I did was I just kind of cut right down the center of some of them so that they were narrow and fit my pieces better. I'm just putting one in the center for now. If I feel like they need more, then I'll add more, but I think one in the center will be sufficient. And I'm gonna pop that right on top of my sentiment piece to kind of give him a little bit of character.
I like that. That's super cute.
Thank you.
All right. I don't know if you guys hear like mumbling and rumbling. I have gamers in my house. I have kids at the neighbors' houses making noises. I have people coming in and out of my house. Left, that's right.
And I too have kids. I have 3 little ones that are upstairs, and we have hardwood floors. And so if you hear any rumbling, I apologize. They are 7, 5, and almost 3 on Friday. I will have a 3-year-old, but today she's 2. And every bit of 2 and rambunctious and very how come and why.
And one of the tricks that I learned with my last one, I wish I'd learned it with my first one, is ask them why back.
Yes, I have totally started doing that. And I get, I don't know, that's why I asked you. Sometimes your kids are too smart for their own good. Blah.
Yeah, right?
Oops, I didn't stamp enough, but that's okay. All right. What do you think about my sentiment pieces here?
Super cute.
Except this one won't stick.
It helps if you take the backing paper off.
Right? All right. Are you at the assembly process? You are.
I am.
Catch up.
You told me to go on, so that's what I'm doing.
I did. I'll be there shortly.
All right. So this is my last piece of this part, not together. I think it's going pretty quickly. I didn't actually pay attention to the time when we started putting it together, so hopefully. All right, so let those dry a smidge, and I'll glue my sentiments together, and hopefully I will have enough glue in this bottle. It really is almost empty. Yeah, so hopefully I will have enough. Did not varnish my first one. Then we have a trick for you with the banners. To make it super simple to do, you have a banner punch, feel free to use it because, I mean, if you have the tool, you probably spent the money on it, you should probably use it. But if you don't have the tool, there's an easy way to get the job done. The first try. I'm going to say that and I'm going to screw up and it's not going to work on the first try. That does happen sometimes, but usually it's because you're not paying attention. Got a whole card done. Look at that.
I told you I'd catch up. I'm excited to see your banner trick.
You probably did it when you were cutting your banner.
Oh. Sorry about that. I'm going to use stickles on my card to kind of dress it up a little bit. And funny story, I have never owned or used stickles in my life. And on a whim, I added this to my order. Okay, I'll try it. Oh my gosh, I am so in love with this. They are amazing.
They're super fun
It
and
does
super
take the,
easy.
yeah, but the dry time is a downfall, but I'm gonna mail it immediately. You know, I definitely have time to let it dry.
Yeah, you only need like an hour or so, depending on how thick you put it on.
Right. So I just added 3 globs because they came out a little heavy, but that's okay. Right here.
Oh, nice. Kind of like little rivets.
Yeah. So this is really easy. I like how we have taken one card from a set of 12 and just kind of made 9 of them, because sometimes you don't always need, you know, 12 of the same. So this was fun, and I really enjoyed being able to do this.
I agree. All right, so for this little banner trick, it is super simple. So you're just going to take your piece that you want to cut. You're going to find the middle. Now, you can measure. You do not have to measure. Just kind of figure out what might be the middle, make a snip up as high as you want your banner to be pointy. And then you go from one edge to that middle. I flip it over, but you could turn it around and then you go to the middle again and you're done. So if you want a sharper point, then you want to go in further. That one I screwed up a little bit.
Yep, I do the same. I turn it over. I just seem to get a better and cleaner cut when I turn it over.
I agree.
And I too don't measure. I just cut and hope for the best.
Well, and sometimes, you know, you can just do not so. That is a horror. Like, I am not cutting these very well today. Okay. But some of them can be
So I'm going to
deeper than
flip a
others.
couple of my pieces over to the other side. And it actually turns out pretty cute. It was that watercolor paper and it cut just perfectly. So I kind of got a little lucky on that.
Nice. And if you're cutting a bunch of these banners, we are tonight, you could work a little bit smarter than I did, and you could cut 2 of them at one time instead of 1 by 1.
Yeah.
I tend to not do that. I tend to not cut 2 pieces at one time. I get worried, I guess. All right, so now we're just going to glue our banner pieces on. And let's see, our sketch says that they should be 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. So again, if you want to measure, measure. Otherwise, just kind of eyeball it.
That's what I'm doing.
Very rarely do I actually measure. And my ladies in my hostess club, which we actually call the Princess Club, which is fantastic. Thanks to our dear friend Sue. I will put the sample up for them to put together, and they'll say, okay, and what's the measurement on that? And what's the measurement on that? And it's like, I don't know, just eyeball it. And so they started bringing their rulers and they could get up and measure it. So then I would start guessing. It's about 1 inch. And then I would grab one of their rulers and I would measure it. And it would actually be pretty close. So
I have a couple of people that attend some of my workshops, and they are measured. And it is so hard when I'm like, just eyeball it. And now that they've kind of gotten used to that's something that I'm going to tell them, they're like, okay, and they've really relaxed in the structure of their card making and or scrapbooking, and given themselves some freedom to make some mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes are actually some of the prettiest things that they've actually created.
yeah, that's always the best part, is when the freedom kicks in. Now, that being said, sometimes too much freedom is not a good thing. It's overwhelming. Like, I'm one of those people, I do not do well at mixed media.
Gotcha.
My sister-in-law, she has a fantastic group, and they do junk journals, and they do mixed media stuff. Well, kind of stuff. They don't actually, most of them don't call it that, but that's really kind of what it is. And they do jelly plates and things like that. And Melody's group, it's a fantastic group, and the stuff that they make is beautiful. I can't. My brain doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I think some structure is good, and some freedom is good. So you have to just find a happy medium between both.
Exactly. All right, so then this last piece, we are just going to line up. It is, you can see here, it is going to overlap both of my pink pieces. And that's exactly what it's supposed to do, overlap the pink pieces. And it should line up. It may not be perfect because, again, we're eyeballing these edges, but it should be pretty close.
It's a good thing I'm not super liberal with my glue here, because this is the second time I've put my middle piece down before my banner.
See, and that's why I did it the way I did it, is I did all of one type at one time.
Yeah.
To me, my brain works better that way, because it's not this step and then this step and then this step, and then I would do the same thing you do. I would do something in the wrong order,
Yeah.
which I'm sure would still look fine. You know, I'm positive of that, but yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's just correcting. Once you glue something down and making that correction, sometimes is not as, it's easier said than done. Oh, just pull it up.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like me, if you're using a liquid glue, I mean, it would still work, but with this stuff, you'd have to let it dry, and then you have to erase it, and yeah, all sorts of things. So I also am going to do some of my cards with the opposite side of the paper. That turned out super cute.
Okay. Sorry, I had a slight glue malfunction. My tape runner's backing up inside of itself for some reason.
Oh, I've had a few do that before. It's always kind of annoying when that happens.
Yeah. So if we cut this zip strip off earlier, if you saw where I did the stamping and then I fussy cut these little things out, you could also use the zip strip right here on your sentiments.
Oh, you could. That would be super cute.
So you could easily come in top or bottom. Candles, I would probably do the bottom. And if you only got one of these, so you're going to get, if you cut them at 2 inches, you're only going to get 6. If you cut them at 1 or 1.5, you're going to get close to 12 or more. And so then you could definitely make that work. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about.
The other option is if the design makes it possible, you could split it into like a quarter instead of a half.
Right.
And then you could.
Unfortunately, this design doesn't.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is, Michelle, maybe you know what this is called. You just kind of angle cut each end, right?
Right. I don't know. Angle cutting each end.
So I'm just going to angle cut it, and then I'm going to put it right down here at the bottom. So it's definitely a neat way to use that zip strip and kind of make it go a long way. Also, on the back of my paper, it has some watermark splotches. You could easily take your black shimmer brush and add more if you wanted to. That would be a fun thing to do with this particular paper. Actually, almost any paper it would be really fun to do on.
All right, which one do you think I should do? So I have 4 of each now. Which one should get the fix since we're doing 9 cards? The bright pink or the stripes?
How many do you have left?
Just this one. So I have 4 each done.
Stripes.
Okay. All right, where's my...
See, and your brain works is that you do one step at a time, and my brain is like, complete it, move on. Complete it, move on.
Yeah. All right, so one of the things that we were talking about earlier, so remember we had these 3 pieces left over? So you could cut them into smaller pieces, kind of like we were talking about for that zip strip. And then you could create extra little banners on here. So I'll do one. And maybe I'll do 2, 1 for each, because I don't know if I'm going to go through and do all of them. These are tiny little pieces. So you could do it in advance before you put down your BT paper, your pretty paper, or you could be like me and do it now.
Sure.
And do just like that. And then you would want to so my pieces are essentially 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch is the size that I'm cutting them. And then I will also go back and add that same little bit of space. I put a little bit of glue on the end, and then I'm going to put it right here in the center. I'm going to give it a few seconds, and then I'm just going to trim it off. So doing it that way, you probably could get all 9 cards with this one zip strip. Maybe. I'm going to cut this one, and then I'm going to take it off and I'm going to turn it around because you can see the pink on the edge of that zip strip, and I have it down on one side and up. So I gotta turn it over. There. So there you have the extra little banner pieces on there with the zip strip that we cut off of our pretty paper.
Oh, those are so cute. That really makes it pop too. I like that.
So that being said, you could do the same thing with these extra pieces. You could cut them down to 1/2 inch and then put them on there as well.
For sure.
All right. I am going to grab my, this is the shaker window foam and acetate. And I'm grabbing it because the center is little squares. And so we can use them super, super easy.
Yeah, that's what I use to pop my stuff up too.
Did you pop up your whole sentiment or just the one piece on it?
I just popped up the arrow that went on it. Let me rub this glue off. Not all dry adhesives can be rubbed off like that.
This is true.
But it was too stark, so I had to turn it over and use the pattern paper. Okay, some of my cards I've taken a sentiment and twisted them.
You put a twist on some of your cards, is that what you said?
Yeah, just put the sentiment on a twist. Some I've put higher, some I've put lower, and some I've kept the same straightness.
So I have found this little trick, and I know I've shared it on a live video before on my Facebook page, but I don't know if you've seen it. The pokey tool, the piercing tool, is your best friend when it comes to removing the backing tape, the backing pieces off of any foam tape.
Yes.
It takes some practice at first because I did not get it. I tried it on camera the very first time. It didn't work.
Oh no.
And then I did it again. I gave it another try. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, this is a total game changer. So one of the things I do is I will leave the center. I don't bother taking the the backing piece off the center because I don't need it for the stick. I just need it to keep the center up. All right, so let's see if I can show this on camera. So when I do it, generally speaking, I will hold it like this. I will hold my piercing tool between my first 2 fingers because I'm going to use my thumb mainly as the guide for it. I'm going to go to a corner. I'm going to pierce the backing tool. I'm going to continue pushing forward, not necessarily down, but forward, and then lift up at the same time.
Gotcha.
And you can see that it just came off. my backing piece just came off. And so
Yeah.
the trick is it being on a corner, and then to also have the cardstock that it's attached to needs to stay flat.
Those are good tips.
And sometimes it's a little bit extra sticky and it doesn't want to work. And it's like, nope, you're trying to show people, so we're not gonna play. We will not be a part of your reindeer games.
So I'm just going to double check and make sure that I put all of my sentiments on correctly, meaning reading the right way. And I'm doing just a little bit of journaling, doodling. I don't mean journaling, I mean doodling around the middle piece that we put down, just to sort of draw your eye in. And there's one piece that I put upside down, so I'm going to show you how a quick and easy way to correct that without destroying your entire card. So I think it's really important that you see mistakes, because you're going to make them too, and knowing how to fix them is key. Okay, so if you have a spatula tool from Cricut, Michelle, I don't know what you do, but I have found this actually does work well. I just, as flat as I can keep it, work it out underneath, and then I can just pop it off. Still can use my adhesive, and very little to minimum damage done to my card. Now I can flip it around, right, and put it on the correct way.
That is a very good point. If you do not have that spatula, my good friend Eileen shared what she does, and in her toolkit, she always has a thing of dental floss.
Yes.
And she does the same thing with that dental floss. So these ones are a little bit stickier than normal, which, I mean, that's a good thing, but it's kind of driving me nuts.
So I'm just coming in and I'm adding the stickles on the rest of the cards. On that little banner spot. Oops. Sorry if you guys could hear that.
Sounded like something fell over.
Yeah, just the kiddos upstairs. And when you're upstairs with them, you don't really notice it because it's probably just normal, but so I've added my stickles to the end of my banners there. So you can see.
I like that.
And then this card I did different. So the design calls for it to look like this, and then I flipped the banner and my piece. So he's just a little bit different.
I like that. I wish I'd have thought of that before.
Honestly, it was an accident. The card was like this, and it opens this way.
That makes sense.
And that's what I mean by, sometimes your freedom can make some really awesome, creations.
Yes. All right, so I'm going
Where you at?
I'm gonna use some black and white dots.
Ooh, perfect.
I think it'll make everything pop just a little bit. All right. And I love these too because they have the sticky already. Gotta
Yes.
pick it up. Excuse my sniffles. I am in my son's room filming because normally I'm not filming at home. So I have a creative solution to, having to be at home. And his room is dusty. And so trying to not sniffle, but it's not.
'Tis the season for allergies.
Oh, it is for sure.
So while Michelle catches up, I'm just going to clean up some of my stamps. And get them put away. And I also kind of want to show you, I remember have the even days. So today is the 5th. Oops, I
Nope,
smashed
today's the
the
6th. Today's the 6th. Just trust me, it's the 6th.
Today's the 6th, you said?
Yes.
Today is the 5th.
No. We're recording it on the 5th, but today is the 6th, really, when everybody else is seeing it.
Yes, okay. So, for, pardon me, I'm so sorry. For my project, and I'll wait for Michelle to catch up, I kind of want to give you guys a sneak peek of what I'm going to do for you. It will be on a video, and it will be using the April stamp of the month. So if you have that, get it ready. It's going to be such a fun time. I've been working really, really hard on creating these cards and learning them very efficiently so that when I do the tutorial, it's smooth. Do you know what you're going to do yet, Michelle, for your first project since you're up before I am?
I do not. No, I do not. I should, but I do not.
And that's okay. All right.
Awesome.
I wiped my stickles off on accident because I was ambitious with my cleaning. Here we go. Oh, I love your cards. I love that stripe. That stripe is amazing. Yes, yes. I love it. So I ended up flipping my paper like you did and doing 4 with that watercolor from the back and then 4, 5 with the grid.
I like it.
With 1 being backwards.
Gives a little bit of variety.
Yeah, it does. It's awesome though. So, how many did you got? All 9 done?
I have all 9 done.
Oh, and the black and white dots are amazing. I love it's subtle.
It is, and it just
subtle,
makes it pop just a little bit.
Right. It's perfect. Perfect. Okay. So the first project that you're going to see from me today is the 6th. On the 8th is going to be the ever fun tunnel cards. So I'm going to show you how to create 2 variations. How cool is that? And you'll see those stickles in there. So tune in on the 8th for the tunnel cards. I'll be showing those. And Michelle's project is a surprise.
It is a surprise, even to me.
Yes.
It'll be something super fun. So, and we will give you guys, for almost everything, you will get all of the dimensions and so that you can cut it yourself. There might be some times where we might point you to one of our products because we do like to use them. They're fabulous, but we can't necessarily give out the information in them because they're printed and trademarked and all that fun stuff. So we will let you know when that is the case, but we will try to have a video all the time. We will try to have all of the dimensions for you. And yeah, we would love to have you craft along with us. So that being said, when you make your cards, take a picture of them and post them as a comment underneath the video here that we're linking in the Facebook group, so that we can see what you made with what you have. And good news is you'll get other people who will ooh and ah over your projects, because everybody loves that. Like, really, it's awesome. But every 20 days we're going to give out a prize, and the way you get the prizes is by participating in the projects. So it'll be a random draw, so it won't be if you complete every single one you're going to be guaranteed to win something. We hope that's the case, but we may not be able to get something out to everybody, because we hope this becomes a great big group. So that being said, invite everybody that you know that might want to be crafty or is crafty. It's a free group. It'll, this 100 days, it will be a free group, guaranteed. We will have free stuff for you. We will have free prizes for you. And so there really isn't any downturn to being a part of this group unless you're not a crafty person. And in that case, we agree, you shouldn't be a part of the group.
Yeah, and if you decide to share your artwork outside of our group, use the hashtag Let's Flock Together so that we can see your stuff on other social media platforms. We'll see it floating around outside of our group.
Yes. So yes, share in the group, share outside of the group to say, hey, I was inspired by Danielle and Michelle over at Let's Flock Together. So, get more crafty people in here so we can get more ideas and have more fun. So on that note, we are going to log off for the night. Thank you so much for joining us. And
bye, everyone.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.